Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome and thank you for coming. We are going to kick off now. So if you would be kind enough to take your seat, and James and William are gonna kick off. Welcome. Woo!
Thank you so much. Where'll I go, William? Oh yeah.
James has a side.
Yeah, this is the side.
I don't. I'm good on both sides.
Thank you so much for coming to the Simpler Life Live at the Benecol brunch. The tagline for this is kind of gorgeous. It's that caring friend. Every heart deserves one.
Am I that caring friend for you?
I think so. I think you are that caring friend.
Okay. Well, I do all the cooking.
You do?
I thought moving down the countryside that might change.
Yes.
Thought you might do more.
Well, I'm the sexy, glamorous one, and you're the
what?
The frumpy cook. But the caring friend. Yeah. But no, I do love that kind of sentiment about having someone, be it a friend or a lover, kind of. We are a friend and lover. Kind of being there for you and to kind of prod you along to be healthy, because we're going to go through our results. We just got did you all get your bloods done there? If you haven't, they're taking them after this, and they're going to be here for a while. So do get them done, because it's important to kind of know where you are in life and your cholesterol journey. But when you say you do all the cooking.
So it's my fault. I knew he was going to blame this on me.
I don't want to spoil my results, but you're to blame for the results I just got. If you say you do all the cooking.
I think what you'll find at the end is that your results reflect your sedentary lifestyle.
Yeah, this is true.
James calls rotting, like he talks about it like it's a good thing.
I do. I think rotting in bed is like a positive thing. I see nods. We have rotters, proud rotters. Yeah,
like to a certain extent, but like
I do think
if all you do is rot, then you're just rotted.
I do think there is a balance, though. The lovely nurse Jenny, who we'll be chatting to at the end, I don't want to give it all away. She's like, she's from Barcelona. Do you live a very sedent lifestyle? I was like, yes, I do. I don't move that often. Sedentary lifestyle. But anyway, we'll be talking about the simpler life.
Yeah, is it a simpler life?
No, it's not a simpler life. And we have a podcast. We release it once a week. And the whole point of the podcast was to kind of document our transition from city lifestyle. We've lived in Phibsborough for 9 years to countryside lifestyle.
We're down the country now, which I only discovered since moving down the country is a controversial term for some down the country people. They don't like when you say that, but it's just factually true.
Well, it's factually true for where we are, because Kilkenny.
I'm sorry,
Kilkenny
we're not living in. I know we have a very famous Monaghan person here, but we're not living in the Monaghan, which would be up the country.
No, but to be fair, I have gotten some DMs about us saying down the country, and people say it's a bad thing because people who move outside Dublin, no matter where they go in the country, say down the country.
I think if you say it in a Dublin accent, it sounds worse. But down the country.
But we are down the country. We're in Kilkenny. That is down the country. So that's T's and C's aside.
Don't get offended.
We moved from Phibsborough, where we were for 9 years. We're now in Kilkenny almost a year.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd kind of reflect on why that happened and how we got there, because neither of us have any connection to Kilkenny at all. William's from Carabini in Cork, which is such a beautiful place that I kind of treasured in the last. We're together almost 11 years.
Yeah. And James is from Churchtown, which is also a beautiful place if you squint. No, I'm joking. Churchtown's lovely. I'm sure Churchtown's fine.
Churchtown is lovely.
But it is just sort of Dublin suburb, right?
It is. Yeah. It's whereas Carabini is quite magical. I remember one of the first times I was in Carabini, they ran out of flour, and I was like, oh, where are we going to get the flour? And William's dad goes, take the dinghy out and row across to the shop. Like, you literally row across.
My dad's not British. He's literally from Cork.
No, his family Cork, one of those West Britty types.
They're not.
They have an accent. They have an accent. So you had to row across the, what is it called? The marina? The harbour?
The river.
The river, yeah. Row across. And
Well, it's the harbour, so it's the mouth of a river going into the harbour, so it is the sea.
But I just love that. I thought that was so Enid Blyton or something. Like, it was so gorgeous.
Yeah, I kind of didn't realise people didn't have
Dinghies to get the flower. Yeah.
But I mean, there's a downside to that as well. We were basically like brought up on a commune, like an island, cut off from the rest of the world.
And they all have English accents. It's hilarious.
don't.
All the neighbours. They kind of do.
Some of them do.
Hello, boys. I'm like, you're from down the road. Speaks like the Queen. I love it though. But yeah, I guess we kind of fell in love. Well, I fell in love with the idea of living a kind of a simpler, slower life, if you like, and
Slower than bed rotting.
I was a pretty slow life in Phibsborough, but it felt actiony because of all the stuff going on around us. But I
just don't have buses going past now.
I just found, for me anyway, I just felt happier whenever I was down in Kirkbinney. And so we kind of, I guess, over the past 11 years, started to explore the idea of moving out of Dublin.
Yeah, I think COVID and lockdown and all that sort of compounded the idea that like we didn't need to be in Dublin all the time. Like, we're still up all the time, but it kind of gave you a glimpse of like what life could look like working from home more, being outside more. We explored a lot of the countryside, not during lockdown, but during the COVID period. And it kind of allowed us to kind of think outside of Dublin for the first time. And I think a lot of people were like that because like now where we live, we bump into like there's a local kind of bakery near us, and it's like being in Portobello. Like every weekend there's like every yummy mummy from Dublin is there, who've also moved down the country. So it's a real, like, I think there was a big movement of moving down the country.
Yeah, and we filmed a TV show about looking for a house, and
You can take a shot every time I say down the country.
from filming that TV show, we looked all around the country. William is from Cork, obviously. That was always, we put our blinkers on and we were like, no, we want to move to Cork. I mean, Debbie, we have a proud Cork woman here. It is gorgeous. Yeah, but we found our budget didn't quite stretch to what we wanted. And
Cork was too expensive.
Cork was too expensive. But from doing the TV show, we were like, hang on, there's so many gorgeous places around the place that we could potentially move to that ticks all the boxes. So you found the house in Kilkenny, didn't you? It was on Daft.
Yeah, I think it was at that stage. It was out of desperation. Like my Daft search like area was getting wider and wider and wider.
You kept going plus 5k, plus 5k.
Yeah. So then this popped up, and I mean, I my biggest thing was I was so terrified about living inland. I'd never lived, not on the coast before, so it was like a big deal for me to like imagine myself in an inland place, and I kind of didn't really think it would work out for me. Even when James was like getting really excited about the house, I had that in the back of my head that like, yeah, but it's like, I mean, it's kind of the Midlands. Yeah. And I just couldn't imagine, like, I was like, the air is different here. I get claustrophobic. Like, I can't breathe. But actually, it's... And
people say I'm the dramatic one.
But we live on a river now, the Barrow River, and there's one of those saunas. You can go swimming in the river. Like, it's kind of like being on the sea.
They say, Kilkenny locals, they say Kilkenny has everything except the sea. But it's not, I mean, the nearest coastline is what, an hour away? And when we were in Phibsborough...
40 minutes. No, you can get to the beach in 40 minutes.
When we were in Phibsborough, you're driving an hour to get to Vico. So it wasn't a huge...
No,
didn't
that
feel that different. So anyway, we both took a gamble on the area itself because we, as I said, we had absolutely no connection to Kilkenny. And we just fell in love with the house. We realized very fast we couldn't afford what we wanted here. And, life is about compromise. We had an amazing, 8-9 years in Phibsborough. I really miss Deliveroo. Like, I really miss, there's not even Just Eat. There's absolutely nothing.
Just Eat.
Yeah. You want the more bougier one. But there is a gorgeous pizza truck near us, but if you want takeaway, you have to drive to the takeaway. They don't even deliver it. So, there is compromise. There was so much gorgeousness about living in Dublin, but one of the huge things we both wanted was a bit of land, a bit of road frontage to grow.
There was a bit of fighting over how much land we wanted.
I wanted 10 acres. It just sounds nice. I'm so glad we don't have 10 acres.
James had no concept of what 10 acres looked like. And I think we did visit like a house because we did the TV show where we were looking for a house. I think we did visit a house that was on like something like 10 acres, and James was kind of looking at the horizon being like, no, not yet, just past the tree there. And I think
10 acres in my mind was 2 football pitches. Like I thought it was, I didn't
but
think
even
it was,
2 football pitches, like, do you want to be mowing the lawn of 2
I
football
just had
pitches?
an idea of going on a horse around our land. I just had that.
I've never once known you to ride a horse.
I wanted to take up riding. That was I had a lot of things I wanted to do, and I just said 10 acres sounds gorgeous, you know. We've just under 1, and it's quite difficult to manage, isn't it?
You have basically a full-time gardener.
We have Kevin the gardener. He's amazing, but even even that's a bit difficult.
Like we have a groundskeeper pretty much with 1 acre.
So look, we really we got the sweet spot, I would say, of exactly what we wanted. The garden itself. What are you going to say? Shaming me again? What's going on? I can tell by his face he's going to embarrass me or shame me.
No, I wasn't. I was just going to say that exactly what you were going to say is that we wanted a mature garden. We wanted something that we could kind of step into and it be already kind of half done or done, and we that was kind of the biggest driving force behind us getting this house. It was an old house. There was a lot of work to do in the house, but we moved down in the summer, and even though that kind of like paint coming off the walls and there was no furniture or anything, we could just be outside, and the garden was already perfect and fully grown, and there was trees everywhere and plants.
The couple we bought it off grew everything from seed. They never bought a plant or whatever, absolutely everything. The magnolia trees, the pear trees, the apple trees, all grown from...
They had lived there for 35 years, so it was everything at this stage was it was a fully realised, fully grown garden, and it was just so amazing to have that. Because I kind of think, you know, that thing where you see people buying a house or a new build even, and it's kind of on a blank piece of grass for a long time until it kind of starts to fill in.
Yeah.
And because we're impatient millennials,
we wanted those mature magnolia trees.
We wanted it now.
Yeah. It's actually one thing from filming the show. We visited about 15 properties, and a lot of people who built these kind of newer houses, let's say, they say, oh, it took us 5 years to plant a tree, and we really regret it not planting them immediately, because you don't think, you know, it takes that long for them to become beautiful. But the garden is really what we fell in love with. The house actually is called the Garden House.
James watches from the house.
I watch Kevin doing the plants. I think it's lovely. Yeah. No, but it was really the garden that we fell in love with. And then Gotubban, we fell in love with the area. That's what really came alive. And it was such a gamble, as I said. We had no connection and had no idea, but we said, look, if anything, we'll have each other and we'll have the magnolia trees and it'll be fine.
And our cat Diana.
And our cat Diana.
But we should say that both of us initially when we moved down, like, you know, it was when we visited the house, it was full of the couple who had lived there, and there was an artist and a poet, and the house was full of lovely things that they had collected over 35 years, and they had really good taste. It was very cozy. They had lovely furniture, and you kind of forget that, like, actually when you move in, none of that will be there. And we moved in, and it was just us in this empty house. There was kind of wallpaper coming off the walls. Everything was a bit rickety.
The drama of the move had settled.
Yeah,
do you know, all that chaos.
I was like severely hungover because I thought, you know, it's my last night in Dublin.
He went out the night before a move that starts at 7 a.m. I couldn't wrap my head around it. I gave myself a buffer of 3 or 4 days. He arrived back from the sesh at about, 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And the movers were coming at 7 a.m. Don't drink before a move.
And James conveniently had a job that morning and disappeared. So it was me and the movers.
I had a photo shoot that morning.
But anyway, it was me and the movers. So we got to the house, and like I was rattled, and James was wasn't speaking either. He's very mute, and we were sitting there on the ground because there was no furniture, sort of taking it all in, and both of us not kind of saying to each other that we like very much regretted this decision.
I don't know if we have house buyers, but there's a thing called buyer's regret. If any of you are familiar with that, I didn't know what that was, and then suddenly it washed on me how
it's like, I don't like it. Take me back to Dublin, like, you know. It smells. No.
What's silage? Silage is a thing. I'm used to it now, actually. It's almost like fermented. It's not too bad. But I guess we had an extra layer of buyer's regret because we had just moved county. We had just moved, I was going to say province. It's the same province. I'm getting used to that. Leinster. We're in Leinster. But, it wasn't just a normal move. We had to move completely differently. So I remember there was about 2 days where we literally didn't speak to each other because of the fear of saying something in real life and then it's real. Have we done the wrong thing?
It took a while, but I think that forced us both to busy ourselves with making the house nice. We spent the first 2 days like putting all our stuff, like all my books on the book.
William is so good at like getting somewhere cozy and homely straight away. Like I think I had a seaweed bath for 48 hours and was just kind of like
rocking back and forth.
Yeah, and William was like, putting the books everywhere and lighting candles and just making it really cozy. So you are good at that.
Yeah, and then we had to share an armchair for like 3 weeks until we went to IKEA and bought ourselves a
There was
couch.
one chair watching movies. There's like, you've had half an hour. It's my turn on the chair.
This is literally it.
Yeah, because I didn't want to. I don't know if anyone's the same. With this new house, right, we're on the journey of the renovation now and doing it up. But I never wanted to buy furniture until the house was done up because I'm like, I wanted to do things in that order. Whereas William was like, sure, let's just paint the walls for the moment. I'm like, no, I don't want to like do things out of order. So we didn't want to buy furniture.
We haven't done anything to the house. We have bought a couch. We bought a dining room table. And that's kind of about it.
Yeah.
So it is very rough and ready, but it looks very cozy. But James won't let me even, paint a single wall.
I just want to do things in order, because if you paint, you're going to have to rewire and it's just all out of sync.
There's also like one plug in every room because it's an old house.
Yeah.
And they're all on the same side of the house. So like if you can't have anything plugged in on one side of the house, everything's plugged in the other side of the house. There's like an extension lead going over our kitchen door to plug the fridge in.
Which is a fire hazard, I've just been told. You shouldn't do that. Because I had an extension lead plugged into a 4-prong extension and I don't have that anymore. A fireman literally DM'd me and was like, so it's handy having followers sometimes. Yeah. But yeah, we're at that stage, but we're trying to take it in order, I guess. But I guess the question is it been a simpler life? No, it has not been a simpler life. But it's definitely been kind of I feel so much more peace now, or so much more kind of zen when I could spend 2 or 3 hours looking at the birds in the birds feeder. Like it's just, I can get lost in doing that sort of stuff. And I guess that they're the sort of gains I've made. R.I.P. Deliveroo. I miss the convenience of living near my friends. I do miss those kind of last minute plans of, drinks on nights out and stuff like that. So there is that kind of, you have to weigh it up.
I don't miss the last minute like nights out.
Well, you love plans. You don't like surprises.
I like the fact that I can now pick and choose when I decide to socialize and when I decide to be a hermit, and it feels more intentional. And actually, when friends have been so good at coming down, visiting us, they've been really excited, and it's kind of like a retreat for them as well. But you kind of spend better time, or I've been spending better time with my friends as well, because like in Dublin we'd meet up for a coffee and we kind of like, that would be it, and then I'd be like, oh well, I guess I'm going home now because I have something to do, and they'd be going off. But now it's like a very intentional meetup with my friends.
Yeah,
and we make the most of it.
I think we're just so 35. Like this is, I was a feral rat in my whole 20s, and I think now it's like not let's go to the after session. William, the great spotted woodpeckers in the garden. Like that's kind of the buzz now.
But another thing we have really had to get used to is like neighbors will just rock up to your house unannounced.
Caroline on her horse. We have a neighbour.
But if someone in Dublin rocked up to your house unannounced, you'd call the police. Like you would.
And our house is kind of off the road and there's trees and stuff like that. And Caroline, she's another one that
hello boys.
She speaks in a British accent. There's a lot of them down there, a lot of landed gentry types. I love them. They're so eccentric. But Caroline will ride in the garden on her horse. And William was sitting there, and I'm like, William, there's a horse at the window. And Caroline, hello, boys.
She's 87 years old as well, just to let you know.
Caroline's amazing. But like that, within the first kind of like week we moved down, we got Veronica, our neighbour, delivered goose eggs. We had another neighbour that delivered lettuce. We had another neighbour that delivered hen's eggs, freshly baked brown bread. So we kind of got that community kind of thing we were craving for so many years, which was so lovely. And I guess that's what made the move so much easier, is that kind of our neighbours and stuff reached out to us and we weren't kind of on our own.
Would you call yourself a Kilkenny man now?
I know, we have a neighbour who's from Dublin, 25 years, and then the other neighbour called the Blow-ins, 25 years. So I think we'll be the Blow-ins forever.
Yeah. And
the
we're
gay Blow-ins.
But James always says we're bi-county because we're on the Carlow border.
We are, yeah.
But we were once talking at doing a food demo at a food festival, Savour in Kilkenny, all Kilkenny people, and James kind of within the first 10 minutes started talking about how where we lived in Kilkenny, and we were on the border with Carlow, and he was like, kind of consider ourselves bi-county, and he was like, and anyway, Carlow and Kilkenny are basically the same thing, right?
No.
Silence.
I
was like,
adding glitter to the story. It wasn't like that.
I was like, oh my god.
No, I was like, look,
I thought there was going to be a riot.
I said our nearest town is Burris, which is Carlow, and it's kind of like we consider ourselves. It's almost the same.
You said they were almost the same thing.
No, I didn't say almost the same. I didn't say it in that way. Also, KCLR FM is Carlow Kilkenny. I was just kind
I
of
think
saying
that's a bone of
bit
contention, though. I don't think they like.
No, they didn't like it. No.
They didn't like it. They didn't like it. Like
No.
how to lose a crowd in 10 minutes.
Yeah. So, to bring it back to what we're doing today, I guess it hasn't really been a simpler life, but it's definitely like we're off the mains now. Does anyone have a septic tank in the audience?
Hey, and a well. Anyone have a well?
Have a well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now, so there's all these layers of things you have to think about now. The septic tank, you have to, a tip for your septic tank, you have to pour a bag of brown sugar down it once a year, and that gets the enzymes, you know. So there's all these new things to think. Another thing is...
Another neighbour told me put a dead animal in it.
A rat.
Yeah,
yes.
Put a dead animal in your septic tank.
Now all the Dublin people, look at all the things we have to think of.
Look, they're shocked. They're all clutching their pearls.
I have to go and get my roadkill once a year and put it down my septic tank. Another thing is the well we have. In my mind, getting a well was like, you know, the well in the Ring with Samara. I was gorgeous. I go get my pitcher and fetch the well.
Haunted well.
It's kind of this bore thing that's just
a pipe
down
that comes out of the ground.
But my dad gets he's a retired builder, so he gets very excited about things to do with the house and points out mold and loves all that. Goes around knocking on walls.
Yeah,
for what I don't know.
There, like, kicking the wall. He's like, look at that, flimsy. He's like putting his foot through it. Or Alan, like, come on.
Yeah, that window's coming down very easily. But he got very excited about the well, and I put up a thing on my stories, and this is the thing, like, I put things on my stories, and then my mum feeds it back to my dad, so he'll get the half story. And I love a bath. I'll have a bath once a week, maybe twice a week.
Maybe your mum rang you when you're in the bath or something.
No, but my dad goes, your mother, she's telling me you're having baths. I thought it was, are you off, Patrick? Nice to see you, Patrick. In the middle of my story. Anyway, we're actually, our next guest, Louise McSharry, is coming up in a sec.
So the mass walkout from Savour.
But anyway, my dad, your mother is telling me you're having bat upon bat upon bat. You're on a well. The well be drying up. And there'll be truck upon truck trying to fill your well up. So
he was like, it's a finite resource.
It's a finite resource. Now, we've since learned our well is fine, but there are all those kind of things you have to think
we're
about.
on like a soggy hill, so it's never running out.
We've a lot of water. But anyway, that's enough about us and the simpler life. We are going to invite up a guest of ours and also one of my best friends, Louise McSharry. Woo! Hello.
Louise, I'm going to move over here.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Mention Louise is hot and sexy, and we love her podcast.
Thanks, guys.
That got that key message in. Louise and I used to be neighbours.
Yes.
Do you miss me?
I do. I miss knowing that you're near. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't even that we'd necessarily be back and forth all that often, but I do miss knowing that
That's
you're
kind of like a thing in
nearby.
Dublin. Like if you lived down the country now, we'd come by on our horse and
Yeah.
bother you in the middle of the day.
Yeah, which I'd love. Well, would I?
But if you called to our house in Phibsborough, we would have called the police. So
And that would have
yeah.
been the correct response. Yeah. I mean, it would have had to have been an emergency. Like, that's the only reason for me to
James
have done
Louise
that.
is downstairs.
Yeah.
Why? No, I'd always be like, Louise, I need a tripod. Do you have a tripod or a
Oh,
ring
yeah.
light? We'd look after each other in
I
that way.
did. What did I do? Do you remember when you had COVID?
Oh, Louise brought me a flat white, an oat flat white, and a treat.
And a jar of
and
creme de la mer.
a jar of creme de la mer.
I did do that.
Damn.
And left it on my stoop.
Yeah. Sorry, I have to give myself a little pat on the back for that because that is
I think
definitely
a
one
round
of
of
my finest
applause
moments.
Creme de la mer.
No, we'd had a previous conversation about James's desire to drown in creme de la mer, and
Yes.
I had access to some, and it felt like the right moment to deliver it.
Your creme de la mer dealer came
Yeah.
through.
Well, I think having people nearby during COVID, though, especially was nice. That you did know that you could walk over. And I think I know people, I know like Esther, for example, who's here. I think her and my friend Emer became closer during the pandemic because they were within each other's 2 or 5K or whatever, so they could go for walks together. So I do think COVID kind of did make you appreciate the people who were nearby,
Totally.
even if you didn't necessarily see them the whole time.
Did you give someone else creme de la mer?
No, never.
Sounds like okay, good.
Obviously not. I keep all of those restores for you.
You know, we were talking earlier about myself and William kind of look after each other and kind of, it's nice to have someone to prod you along. And I have friends as well who do the same and kind of keep you on track. And
Yeah.
you might have someone you go for a walk with or whatever. Would you have a similar viewpoint on that?
Oh my God, completely. And in fact, last week, a friend of mine texted me. She's going through like a program, like I won't even get into the details, but she texted me and she was like, I've been thinking about you and I actually think you'd really benefit from this. And she was like, I feel like you don't get enough, attention for all of this stuff and you'd really benefit from it. And she thought it all through so carefully.
That can go both ways. So you
Yeah.
feel like, what am I, an attention seeker?
Well, no, she was basically saying you've had a shit ton of trauma and you should actually get some assistance with that. And I was really like moved by it because having someone, all our lives are so busy, and having someone actually take the time to go, this person could actually benefit from this thing that I'm doing, or I wonder how that doctor's appointment went, or, oh, that person has a job interview. Like, it's easy to forget those things and not be in touch. And as someone with ADHD, I am not the best at that stuff. But I know how moving it is when someone just thinks of you. Like, a thought alone can be such a precious thing.
Yeah, and I had quite a bad spell with anxiety a couple of years ago. I've kind of got a handle on it now, and I take some medication and I do it all. But you were actually so key in kind of my road to like feeling normal again. No,
Well,
genuinely, you
that's very
always
nice.
used to check in on me and guide me as well, and that's invaluable because a lot of the times you don't want to ask yourself, so it's kind of nice to have someone who's aware of what's going on, and you'd be so
And
gentle
he doesn't
about
listen
it.
to me, so.
I know I do.
Well, what
learned a
I
lot
think
from
is
you.
funny is that our conversation about mental health started because James and I were working on something together, and we didn't know each other very well at that stage. We kind of were new friends. And James came over to my house because we needed to film some content, and I got a phone call from my GP, and the phone call from my GP was an appointment to talk about going on antidepressants. And I was like, oh God, I have to take this call, and I have to take it in front of James, and like I barely know James, and we didn't have that kind of friendship at that time. And I was trying to have it like really quietly in the corner. My house is not that big. And so then afterwards I was like, I was just talking to my GP because I've been feeling really bad and I'm actually going on antidepressants. And then you told me about your anxiety and what you'd been
Yeah.
experiencing. And then once the door was open, that was it. And then from then on we were friends.
Yeah.
But it is, that initial door opening
Trauma
can be
bonding.
so powerful.
They
Yeah.
call it,
Well, like we've all got something at some stage. Do you know what I mean? And if you don't have it now, you might have it next year. Sorry, bad news. Or you might have had it 5 years ago. But everybody's going to go through some in life. Like, you don't get through life without going through some. So
Yeah.
usually, you can connect on a human level
Yeah.
if the person is decent. And if they're not, you've usually sniffed that out already.
Yeah. And you can kind of
William, not naming names.
No, I thought you were going to say something.
No, I love
but
William.
and you can like learn to approach it in a sensitive way and
Yeah.
in a nice way. And I think, as I said, it is so beneficial for someone to reach out to you and just say,
Yeah.
So yeah, that, as they say, that caring friend, every heart deserves one, Louise. Speaking of, did you get your blood?
No, girl.
Are you getting it afterwards?
We're doing it now, I think.
I would like to invite
Are we not?
Jenny from Barcelona. From Barcelona.
My favorite city, by the way.
Yeah, love.
Yeah, I have volunteered to have my cholesterol tested in front of you all.
Yes, this is a live test.
to meet you.
Hands up who's gotten it done just there. And have you gotten your results? Okay. Who gotten your results? They're all right?
You can't ask people
Good.
that.
Well, I'm just the vibe. You don't have to give me the
Yes,
number.
Louise.
Do you need me to stand up or anything? No? Okay, great.
So, Jenny, I might get you to explain what's going on, and I'll hold the mic. Oh, yeah. So we're just going to listen to our lovely pharmacist from Hickey's Pharmacy, and she'll explain what's going on here and how easy it is, I guess.
Hello, everyone. Now we're just going to take the sample. It's only a finger prick, but I will need a good bit of blood, okay? So just to let you know, I will have to milk your finger.
Okay.
Is that okay?
I love having my finger milked. It's my fave.
While the milking is happening, we might discuss our results, William.
Right.
So here we go. I'm okay to discuss my results IRL. So my cholesterol is 3.7. I believe under 5 is where you want to be. However, this isn't the good one. My triglycerides. Poor Jenny had to explain this to me. She was like, "Do you move much?" No. I was like, "No." She's
No,
like,
Jenny, I don't.
She's like, "You live a very sedentary life?" I was like, "Yes." See, we love a rot, Louise,
Yes.
but maybe I'm rotting too much.
One thing that James and I bond over is bed. We both love to be in bed, watching TV, working,
Eating.
scrolling. Like, if we could live our lives from bed, we would. And we send a lot of memes back and forth about like-minded people.
Yeah.
And there we go.
Oh.
Okay.
How was
You
that?
work away. Yeah.
Fine.
I mean, it's a little pinprick.
Little pinch.
It's okay. I'm alive.
But we love sending each other things that just kind of, it's like confirmation bias. Like I'll be like, "Louise,
Yeah.
people who stay in bed longer live longer." All these kind of things that, look, it's like, have a bottle of wine a day and it'll keep the doctor away. Just things to like validate your bad habits.
It's like that meme where it's like two toxic friends just
Yeah.
telling each other exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That is
Exactly.
literally us. Exactly.
But according to my results, I might be rotting too much.
Yeah.
So my triglycerides are 4.22 something, and Williams are 1 point.
1.6, which I think is still
William.
high. Jenny is 1.6 triglyceride. That's over slightly.
Should be under 2.
Oh, grand.
So
But
that's
my cholesterol should be under 5 and it's 5.2.
It should, but that doesn't give you a full view of it.
Okay.
You need to see what makes up that number.
Okay, so it's my cholesterol is 5.2 and my triglycerides 1.6. And my LDL, what's that?
So that's the low density.
Low density, that's
yeah.
3.4. I know that should be under 2.
Exactly, because that, I'm so sorry, Louise, I think we'll have to do it
Is that
again.
the
Her
butter?
hands are so cold, it's not coming out.
Sorry, guys.
Cold hands, warm heart.
No problem.
Yeah.
No
So
problem.
in a nutshell,
I'm very tough.
yeah. In a
Famously.
nutshell, I need to move more, basically.
Yeah.
And the triglycerides are kind of like fatty things, I believe, and that can cause heart issues. And yeah.
Binds to the blood vessels and it can cause inflammation.
So I need to walk home today. Yeah.
But
I'll
William,
drive slowly behind you
you're-
or in front of you.
You're naturally kind of active, though, aren't you, William? Like
He's
we were
a
talking
bit.
about it earlier. You're naturally active, aren't you?
I am, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think it's we were talking about ADHD earlier, and yours is like very much in your
In my
it's,
brain.
It's constant thoughts.
Yeah.
Mine is like constantly moving.
Yeah.
So I pace. I have to be doing something all the time.
I call it with
I
the
wish I had a
zoomies.
bit of that. Yeah.
I get zoomies.
It's a
yeah.
zoomies. I'm like, and he was last night we stayed here, and William was kind of twitching in the corner, and let's go out and let's go there. I'm like, William, go and get your zoomies out. Go and
It's annoying though when we're like trying to plan holidays because James wants to rot on a beach, and
Yeah.
that's my nightmare.
Yeah.
I like to be in a city. I like to be walking around. I like museums, galleries, that kind of thing. So now he has
I
his
just like a
mistress,
poolside.
or his
mistress. Yeah.
Stefan, and they go on cruises together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
went on my first cruise, and I just loved the cruise life.
I'd throw myself off the ship.
Not doing much.
I go spare.
I've never been on a cruise.
Oh, Louise, you'd love it.
I think I would.
Yeah, we'd love a cruise.
Because I like routine as well. Like I like knowing what I like in the restaurant and going back to the same place and ordering the same thing. And like,
Yeah.
we go, this is where we sit during the day in the same seat every day. I love that.
I'm telling you,
Yeah,
we
we
need
should
to
go on
do
holidays.
it.
We
Yeah.
haven't-
When,
Why have
when
we
James
watched
goes
a
on
cruise
holidays
with
with me, I have up in the morning. I'm like full itinerary of things we're doing. I'm like, right. James like, no.
Wow.
Stefan!
It took me.
I mean, opposites do attract.
I have my friend that we go on rotting holidays together, and we were near Pompeii. We were in Sorrento, and Pompeii is an hour away or something like that. And I have a bit of a hangover from William wanting to do stuff all the time, whereas Stefan's like, let's just more limoncello spritz. It's fine. And I was like, what about Pompeii? And he's like, it's a melted village. Why would we? And he goes, Google it. And I was like, you know what? Fair enough. You know, sometimes when you're looking at, this is so bad, I love Renee Sansart, but it can get a bit samey. He's like, we'll be what? Bye, Shiva.
Bye, Shiva.
Bye, Shiva.
Say
You
bye,
lost another
Shiva. So I think we're going to wrap up now. I think it's time.
Okay.
And then you're going to get your results.
I guess I
Yes.
will.
So as you can see, for those who haven't gotten their bloods done, very simple, isn't it,
It's
Louise?
very simple if your body plays ball. Yeah, which mine obviously is not.
Yes. And encourage each other to be healthy and be well and take your Benecols every day. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.